I will not sit up in the nosebleeds. I will not stop until they know me. I want you all to listen closely before I motherfucking proceed.
Yo, pulled up to the set when I heard that brutal sound of the bass. Start to feel like I'm dreaming, man, should have seen that look on my face. But I'm so low-key, I'm an anonymous G that I left no trace. But when I step one foot in the room, I'ma set this pace. I feel like king of the hill when they're never gonna take my crown.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Dylan from Last Week and Wrestling Podcast. And I know normally we'll be doing AEW Collision Watch Along, but because of the NBA All-Star Weekend, Collision is canceled. So I decided to bring on the brand new, awesome podcast that I just learned about as of these past few weeks. They are rising in Boston, and I definitely see them taking over the Boston wrestling community scene very, very soon. It is none other than Owen and Anthony from Over the Top Talk. Gentlemen, how are you guys?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Good, good. What's up, Owen? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So yes, like I said, these guys are brand new to the wrestling community scene. So why don't we, instead of getting right into the topics, let's kind of getting to know you guys a little bit. I know you guys just released your brand new second episode of your podcast, Over the Top Talk, which of course, if you guys aren't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to them, as well as go over to Spotify and all of their social media platforms and show them some love as well. So that way they can kill the game, just like I know they will be doing. But Anthony, we'll start with you and then we'll go right over to Owen. What made you get into this podcast game, man? What was that moment that you guys were like, okay, like this is where we need to be? Talk to me.
Well, I started watching wrestling when I was like 6 years old, started back in like summer of punk time, like 13 years ago, been watching it for like a while. And really, took a little bit of a break, 2018-ish time. And then I really came back into it 2 years ago. And I've had a new perspective on it, been really watching it more in depth. And, me and Owen, we went to school together ever since like second grade. And, me and him share the same love for wrestling. So we decided, like, what a better way to do it than start a podcast, talk about it with other fans. They can come socialize with us, and we can all like be a big family together about wrestling.
I love that. I think that's awesome. And I definitely think that that's a perfect reason to get into this space. I know the wrestling community can be very wild at times.
Yeah.
And I think you guys already know that ahead of the game,
Mhm.
but definitely very exciting to hear all of that great stuff. So I know that you guys are going to be very well versed. But Owen, let's hear from you, buddy, a little bit. What made you want to get into this wrestling space as well and create this awesome brand new podcast coming out of Boston?
So, similar to Anthony, I started watching wrestling when I was about I think 8 years old. I stopped for like a long time though. Probably between that's 2015 through probably up to when Cody returned at WrestleMania. That's when I started getting into it, understanding it more than I did back then. I started this podcast with Anthony because he's been my friend for a while now. We share this interest of wrestling and WWE, and we just decided one day, why don't we just start this podcast up and see where it goes? And so far, it's gone very well for us. It's very fun to have a space to talk about wrestling, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Yeah, no, exactly. I kind of started somewhat similar to you guys. I kind of was just talking to the wall, doing a review about whatever was happening that week. It was a week before last year's Royal Rumble before I started. And, I just continued to put out content, and then it kind of grew to this whole crazy thing now that we're at. And it's been very exciting. It's been really cool. I've been very happy to be here in this wrestling space, meeting awesome people like yourselves. So I'm very happy we got to meet and everything. But let's talk about
Yeah.
some wrestling. You know,
No,
that's why
I'm all
we're
for it.
here.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
All right. So we got a lot of things to talk about there, gentlemen, because of course, as we all know, The Rock is back. We had the press conference, all this craziness. Cody Rhodes finally got into the Royal Rumble. He won the Royal Rumble.
Hmm.
Press conference comes. He finally announces, I choose you, Roman Reigns. We have the Cody Crybabies trending worldwide. We won Cody trending worldwide. But
Yeah.
my question to you guys is, with everything that Cody has done since he's come back at WrestleMania 38, going into WrestleMania 39, now going into WrestleMania 40, has the story of Cody Rhodes gotten boring to you to where now, whether he wins or not at WrestleMania 40, it doesn't really matter?
Yeah. Well, Cody obviously, finishing the story his father never got to finish. Being the champion, being top of the mountain in WWE. I think last year when he lost at WrestleMania, and that made a lot of sense. There was still a lot of bloodline story to go with Roman and Jay. Through all that. But I think now fans are starting to get a little, bored of it. Obviously, we have the Cody crybabies, everyone who wants Cody to win, finish his story. But there are some other fans that think that Cody's story is like come and go. It was WrestleMania 39, that build up, and now it should be on something else. Personally, I think Cody still deserves it. I think he's worked so hard to make it to this point. Ever since like losing the WrestleMania 39, he's had this new aura to him, like this aura where it's like a revenge tour almost type thing where he's just building his way back up. And I think he really deserves it. I personally think he does.
Um, all right, we're gonna put the banner up so that way everyone can know what kind of story we're talking about right now. Oh, and I'm gonna pass it to you, man. Do you think Cody Rhodes' story has finally reached its peak? And at this stage of the game, whether he wins at WrestleMania 40 or whether he doesn't, it doesn't really make a difference. The story has kind of gotten stale with all of the different directions that Cody has taken us on since his inevitable return back to the WWE at WrestleMania 38.
So I'm obviously a Cody fan, so I have liked this story. So I think last year that like from him winning the Royal Rumble to him losing at WrestleMania was a very good story. Him losing obviously, I feel like put like a roadblock in it, kind of like the story got like really boring after that WrestleMania. But I think now we're at a good point in the story, to where he's back on the road to WrestleMania. He obviously has had some very good promos with Seth. And yeah, I'm on Cody's side with this. I do think the story needs to end at WrestleMania and not expand past it. So I'd say probably no. I don't think the story's boring, but it has had some boring parts, like the Nakamura stuff. I wasn't a big fan of. Those Monday Night Raw main events where we would have him versus the Judgment Day, and obviously him versus Brock, I didn't really like either. So I think those parts kind of like ruined his like story a little bit. So
I could see that. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was definitely for Cody, like the most of us were. I think, seeing him do great things in AEW and not really getting a crazy push at one point in AEW to be that next big champion, that next big star, and then going over to the WWE where he was originally, making a brand new star out of himself from all of his crazy moments that he had with the WWE, Stardust being one of his big ones, of course. Coming back WrestleMania 38, winning against Seth Rollins, that Hell in a Cell match, 39, unfortunately, the loss that he suffered. I think it made sense definitely at the time, but I feel like when he came back from 39, and this is kind of where we'll pose the question again.
Mhm.
When he came back after WrestleMania 39, he took that loss. He had, like you were saying, Owen, all these different directions, Nakamura being one, Brock Lesnar being another one. It sounded like he was going to give us an updated version or a modern take on that Dusty Rhodes Hard Time promo, where he has to go through all of these losses now to prove that he still deserves that spot at the top with everybody else. And even with all of those mixed directions, I feel like they weren't giving us that story that we were wanting, that was kind of being told without it being told. So now you beg the question of why bother bring Jay over? Why bother become tag team champion if the goal is to dethrone Roman Reigns? Why was he drafted to Raw and not kept on SmackDown? Why were all of these left and rights being tossed our way to the point of misdirection, but still trying to continue somewhat of a bloodline story in its essence? So I feel like that's where they kind of lost me, because
Yeah.
with Brock, there wasn't really a progression. There was no real reason for it. There was no real like why he was fighting Brock Lesnar. There was no real reason why he was fighting Shinsuke. There was no real reason why he was going after those tag team titles. So now, with all of that accumulating, what was the point of him winning the Rumble if there's all of these other roadblocks ahead of him? The Rock being one of them. You know, if we were going to have this bloodline story play into factor to Cody's story, which it seemingly is, it's playing alongside, why not just have Rock and Roman night one? Have The Rock beat Roman. It doesn't have to be for a title, but it is for that head of the table status. Letting Roman go into WrestleMania night 2 knowing that he can be beat. His own family doesn't believe in him to being the tribal chief. His own family doesn't believe in him in being at the head of the table. Now, with that mindset, it gives Cody the opportunity to pounce on that weakness and actually finish the story. Now that the giant has been wounded, where now Cody can finally take down Goliath. So is there a point of where this bloodline story is heading, especially after last night in either one of your guys' eyes, to show that The Rock really isn't on the bloodline side, it seems, and maybe he's actually playing on the side of Cody, even though he's sending all these misdirection signals? Owen, we'll start with you with this one. What do you think?
I think obviously it was a weird like start to this whole thing. Obviously, seeing like them announce The Rock versus Roman to begin with, and then we saw that moment between Cody and The Rock where The Rock whispered something into his ear. So I've theorized that he might have. I think he is playing that secret agent role for Cody, and I do think we will see him turn on Roman come WrestleMania.
Yeah, I do. I do as well. Anthony, you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. Going off what Owen said about strictly last night's promo, with The Rock, obviously, going back to his Hollywood Rock persona, insulting the crowd, kind of making Roman feel like little brother, making him feel kind of small compared to him. I think that it is all a play. I think he is trying to convince Roman he's on his side. Obviously, with him acknowledging the bloodline, holding up the L instead of the one. I think that might actually have a factor in it. I could see maybe at WrestleMania, maybe The Rock hitting Roman Reigns with a rock bottom, maybe helping Cody in some way, some capacity. But I do really think that Roman is going to get turned on. He's going to be blindsided by The Rock, and he's going to lose the championship to Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I do as well. I feel like right now, at least for me, it just doesn't seem enough to just have another singles match the way they've been doing it, Rock and Cody. It just doesn't seem to be the way of a interesting direction for Cody to get the belt, because if Cody gets the belt, right, let's say at WrestleMania 40, he finally pulls the trigger, he becomes the undisputed Universal Champion, right?
Yeah.
How long will he be champion for? Does this mean Cody's going to SmackDown? And if so, who is he actually facing in his next set of feuds? He's already had people like Shinsuke. He's already had people like Drew coming in his corner. He's had people like Randy maybe in his corner as well. Some people like Seth might want to taste that gold after possibly dropping it to Drew from Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania 40. Who do you guys see, if Cody does beat Roman Reigns, his actual challengers going forward, that will make his reign at least worthy enough of this crazy story that has been happening with the bloodline? Anthony, we'll start with you with this one.
Well, when Cody does win the championship, I think people that he should fight are, I think it should focus both on the mid card and the main eventers. You know, I think it's only fair. Like we see, for example, we see the Judgment Day. Only recently have they been giving chances to the mid card fighters instead of like only main eventers. So I think people like maybe a Jey Uso match, you know, maybe like maybe Seth Rollins, maybe Bobby Lashley. I want to see all that. I also like seeing maybe open challenges, like John Cena's open challenge he used to do with the U.S. title. You know, maybe a weekly open challenge where anyone comes out, challenges for the championship. He can be our next workhorse champion. I would love to see that.
I like that. Owen, what do you got for me?
Obviously, this has been talked about a lot because we haven't seen that championship like without it being surrounded by Roman for a long time. So it will be good to see Rhodes, obviously, if he wins the title. But some opponents I would line him up with would probably be, I'd like to see him go against CM Punk. We obviously saw that promo before Mania. I think he should go with against Randy at least a couple times, maybe Drew, depending on what happens if he wins the Chamber, obviously, and goes to Mania. But I do think Seth would be a good match just because they've had a lot of history together. Obviously, he's, I think, 3-0 against Seth, so it would be very interesting to see what would happen if it was the Undisputed Championship on the line. But yeah, those would be three main opponents. I wouldn't mind seeing him go against like the lower carders, like Anthony said, like maybe Chad Gable. I'm a big fan of Chad Gable, so just to throw one out there.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Chad myself as well. I think Chad is definitely deserving of a big title shot. Again, I mean, he's proven with just his matches alone and with the matches against Gunther that he is a force to be reckoned with. And of course, with that Olympic background, like Kurt Angle, I think he also brings a lot more of a different caliber of wrestler to the actual show. So it's very exciting to see that he can do a little bit of both besides just doing the wrestling that we all know on TV. He could bring that Olympic tenacity with him. So I think that's definitely a good one. Punk, definitely for sure. I could see him going up against having a good feud. Nakamura, again, I feel like they're going to toss that name in there as well. Maybe people like a Bobby Lashley. Jey Uso as well. I do also see them trying a Solo in the mix. Maybe now that Braun Breaker is now a part of SmackDown as of last night, that Solo and Braun will start going at it since singles competition, finally getting Solo away from that one match with Cena back into the actual singles division competition. And maybe you could see what Solo can offer now in 2024, possibly saying like it's coming back home to the bloodline, still playing on that bloodline story as well. So there's definitely a few, I would say, but again, it's more or less how long, what are we really going to be doing? There's a lot of big pay-per-views that have a lot of stories kind of preset Of course, Bash at Berlin, Elimination Chamber coming next Saturday, WrestleMania 40, SummerSlam as well. So there's definitely a lot. There's definitely a lot on the table, and I'm here for it. I am here
Yep.
for it. I'm not a fan of Cody as much as I once was. Like, I love him. I think he's great, but I am a Rock man. Unfortunately, I'm a little older, so I guess that's where the Rock fan of me comes out. But
Yeah.
I will be getting a Cody Crybabies t-shirt if he does lose, and I will be wearing that proudly on the watch along if he does lose. So be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for that and everything. But let's get into this women's division because, of course, you kind of mentioned it with Judgment Day a little bit, and that kind of brings up one of the biggest Judgment Day members, being Rhea Ripley, and Rhea now being women's world heavyweight over on Raw, Io being undisputed women's over on SmackDown. It kind of begs the question of what are we doing with a lot of these other ladies that are in this women's division? Where are we getting a opportunity to let some of these other women shine, like the Mia Yims of the world, the Tiffany Strattons that have just come on the scene? Hell, even a Jade Cargill, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell as well. Like, there's been a lot of speculation, or at least rumors and conversations of possibly adding a mid-card belt for the women's division, so that way a lot of others can start getting a look. Owen, we'll start with you here on this. Do you think that that is the way that we should go to start enhancing this women's division and getting them more on the TV, into that spotlight, actually pushing the women's division in 2024 and getting a brand new set of champions, really, that can hold up against people like a Rhea Ripley or an Io Sky?
Yeah, I would like to see another title. With the men having, I think like 4 titles, and the women only having like 2, it's kind of hard for like these stars. Like, we have a lot of them now. Like Liv Morgan, we got Bianca Belair, we got Nia Jax. I think those are like, there's just a lot of female stars that are like very, very talented, and they perform very well. So yeah, I do think we need another title. Whether that's like a title on Raw or SmackDown, maybe both. I do think we definitely need to see a title with the amount of woman talent we have in the WWE today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anthony, care to elaborate?
Yeah, well, kind of going off what Owen said, it kind of seems like in the mid card of the women's championship, we only have like the tag team championship, which is getting passed around, like left and right. It's getting switched over on like Raw and SmackDowns. With the upper card, obviously, we have them going after Rhea Ripley's title, Io's title. I think because we have one of the most stacked women's rosters we've ever had in wrestling, and they're making them main eventers basically. They have the star power now to main event a show, and fans will be happy about it, and they'll be locked in about it. So I think adding a title or two to that lower mid card scene, or even the mid card, having those women be able to fight over something like that would not only bring more money but also bring more interest to the company, and I think that'll go a really long way.
Absolutely. We're going to stick with you for a little bit here, and then we'll go right back to Owen for this topic, because I agree with both of what you guys are saying. There's a lot of talented women that are returning, people like a Liv Morgan, of course. Hopefully Raquel Rodriguez finally comes back into this mixture as well. Of course, now we're getting new pushes for someone like a Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill as well. And with that being said, Jade was supposed to be a part of this Elimination Chamber, quote unquote. There was the whole leaked image of the Elimination Chamber showing off who was going to be in it. One of them, of course, being Jade. But then she was pulled. Was that something smart? I kind of want to pose that question. Was it a smart idea to pull someone like a Jade Cargill, who had a very good showing at the Royal Rumble, and no real matches since then, pulled from the Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, and now waiting again for her to start wrestling on the actual show?
Yeah. I think that wasn't the best decision. You know, Jade Cargill having one match, like you said, the Royal Rumble, coming out number 30. You know, not number 30, but late in the Rumble. I think pulling her from the chamber really kind of takes away from showcasing her. You know, having 30 women in there in the Royal Rumble, you know, she doesn't really get to show off all of her skill. She's only bounced around with a few people. So having her in that chamber match would have really showcased not only her skill, but her capability of being a champion. Um, so I don't know where this is going to take us. I don't know if in the upcoming weeks, maybe like after the chamber, we're going to have a build up with her. She should be at Mania. I hope she has a Mania match. But I don't know who else they would put in there. I think Jade Cargill was a perfect fit for that spot. So we'll see where it goes with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely think that it was very foolish for them not to put in Jade. I mean, even just matches alone for her to just wrestle
Mhm.
is better than just not at all having her a part of this whole battle royale tournament for, of course, that last chamber spot that
Mhm.
is being done in the next week before, of course, Elimination Chamber. But Owen, to you now, do you think it was a smart idea? And how do you feel about Jade with the fact that now she's not really again being showcased? Do you fear that maybe Jade isn't everything that the WWE believes in, even though she had an amazing showing at the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, I was just about to mention that actually. I don't see a reason they would pull her out. I mean, she hasn't been shown like we've seen her like a little bit when they got the contract negotiations going on. We obviously haven't seen her in the ring since the Rumble. Um, I don't know why they're hiding her. I don't know if it's she's not ready or it's just they don't feel like she's the right fit. I would like to see her more like in the ring, or I wish she was in the ring more before she was announced for that match, but obviously we didn't get any of that. So it's kind of hard to tell when you haven't seen like a superstar really like in the ring. So I don't know if you throw her into a match like that and she's not ready. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like at this point now we're at a stage where even if we add a mid card championship, do we even put someone like a Jade in there or even in a contention for that title alone? You know, people like Mia Yim, who hasn't really been getting a lot of looks or really love in that singles division for the women either. You know, she's been kind of being booked as a jobber more or less than anything else. And um, like Mia Yim's a very talented girl. Like, why
Yeah.
isn't she stacking up and getting wins um, as well to advance her career and doing something, possibly going after Io Sky or a Rhea Ripley down the road? I just don't think it makes any sense to me that you would underbook someone like a Mia Yim or not book at all a Jade Cargill to have her be a part of the chamber. I think would have been great for her, even if she lost the qualifying match, just having her enter this semi tournament to show off her skill set to see where she truly is at is better than not having her on television at all. Because as we approach Mania, it does beg that question of are we actually going to get the Bianca and Jade match this year, or we got to wait a whole nother year? Is that something that they're setting up for SummerSlam instead because they have different things for Bianca come WrestleMania 40? Are Jade even a part of WrestleMania 40? Like, where does it really end for someone like her, and where does it actually begin? Hopefully, after the chamber, we see her showing up on SmackDown or Raw and doing something in this women's division, even if she's having matches with Candice and Indy and Mia and Piper Niven and Chelsea Green, just to kind of get her out there. People like Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, even hell, Ivy Nile as well, working with them, I think would be great to see her interaction with how she handles different sets of women in that division in singles competition and just getting her moving into that right direction. I mean, she had a moment with Nia Jax, of course, at the Rumble, eliminating her and everything. And the people popped. They were like, oh my God, like this is insane. And that was it. You know, we saw her last night with the SmackDown contract in her hand. So we all thought she was also signing, but she didn't. So does that mean that she's actually going to Raw come Monday? Like, what's the direction? You know, how many more of the TV special Mountain Dew commercials is she going to be in instead of in the wrestling ring? How many times are we going to see her at football games holding up wrestling belts instead of in the ring? How many more times are we going to see her, you know, giving out wrestling belts to superstars and music artists and stuff than in the ring? Like, where's the belief that she can wrestle with all these other ladies? Like, where is that? And I want to see it. And I hope I do, because, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like by now we had her at Rumble. Great, cool. She did great. She put up a great match.
Yep.
But if she doesn't do something after Elimination Chamber or before Mania, maybe it was a bad call. Maybe they just don't have anything for her. And I think that sucks, because then the question is was she better off in AEW? You know, with all the great women that are coming up, Jade Cargill being back over there with Serena Deeb and what is it? Jamie Hayter hopefully coming back, as well as Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo and Julia Hart, as well as Sky Blue, even working with them again, maybe going after the TBS or now women's card title for AEW. So I don't know. I worry. I worry for Jade, because she's definitely a diamond in the rough. They just need to polish her off and really push her to the moon for sure, because she is definitely a superstar for sure. But before we get into our last couple of topics here, we're going to take a little bit of a quick break and listen and talk about, of course, NordVPN, who's, of course, our great partners with over here on the Last Week and Wrestling podcast. And when we come back, we got a whole bunch more to talk about, of course, as well as talk to more wrestling with Anthony and Owen from Over the Top Talk. We'll see you in just a bit.
Traveling to a restrictive country with internet censorship? If you want to access your country's websites and content you love securely, a VPN is the answer. With just a few clicks, NordVPN changes your virtual location. You can enjoy your favorite websites and services securely, as if you're home. Choose from over 5,000 servers in 60 countries and surf the internet with no restrictions.
Awesome. And of course, that is brought to you by none other than NordVPN, where you can get internet faster and easier and simpler than ever before. Go check out our great partners of Last Week of Wrestling podcast down below and get an exclusive offer via us on us for the first 3 months, I believe. And it'll definitely help you out with any type of traveling you're doing, staying connected to the internet, and so much more. And of course, we are proudly partnered with none other than the Main Event Wrestling Network out of Chicago. Thank you guys so much. And we will see very soon what we have in store for all of us there. But let us go back to some awesome topics that we have. And the next one, we're kind of going to go back to the Judgment Day for a little bit. And it's Damian Priest. Yeah. He's been senior Money in the Bank. Santa has come and gone this past year. He's still senior Money in the Bank. Royal Rumble has come. He's still senior Money in the Bank. Elimination Chamber Saturday. I think he's still going to be senior Money in the Bank. When do we believe Damian Priest will finally cash in the opportunity to face either Seth and or Roman or Cody? And do we think it's been too long for him to cash this in? Anthony, we'll start with you, buddy. Let's get you over here. Boom.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Well, you know, he's been the champion now. Well, the Money in the Bank holder now for how long? Like 7 months now. He's had a bunch of false alarms, like more than count on one hand, maybe even two hands. He's been after Seth, after all these opportunities, missed ones. I don't see it happening. I think we might go back to back 2 failed years of cash in Austin Theory, obviously last year, and now Damian Priest. I don't I don't want to see a failed cash in again. Obviously, that's what it's for, to cash it in and win a championship. So maybe focus on a different championship, maybe a mid card. But I can see him possibly ruining Seth Rollins' WrestleMania main event. It's a very slight chance, obviously. Maybe him versus McIntyre comes in and cashes in, or maybe on a random Raw, random SmackDown special event if there's any going down the line. But I hope that he cashes it in, and I hope he becomes champion, because he deserves it. He's been putting in really good work.
Yeah, I kind of would like to see Damian as world heavyweight champion. I mean, it would look great with all the gold that they already have in the Judgment Day. We just need Dirty Dom to get something. Hopefully he is next up, or even JD McDonough, or I mean, the best Judgment Day character of all being R-Truth. So, you know, hopefully we bring back at least the 24/7 belt, so that way R-Truth can also rock some pretty gold around his waist or shoulder. But Owen, let's pass it to you, buddy. Do you think this is another failed cash in? Do you think it's taking too long for Damian to cash it in? And do we see possibly by Mania or at Mania he will finally cash it in?
Obviously, we've, like Anthony said, we've seen him have a lot of failed cash-ins with Drew McIntyre, you know, getting involved in most of the failed cash attempts. So I'm thinking at WrestleMania, because my prediction is Drew's going to go to WrestleMania against Seth, and I think that is where we will see Priest cash in. I think we'll see Drew beat Seth, and then that's when Damian comes in, cashes in, beats Drew McIntyre, and that'll start up a feud between McIntyre and Priest. But yeah, I think it has taken too long, but I think it'll finally end at WrestleMania.
I hope so. I mean, you know, I'm going to put my money where you guys are putting it in the basket as well. I'll join you. But, you know, I feel like kind of what Anthony was saying and Owen was saying, Damian definitely deserves a title opportunity, singles run in either the World Heavyweight or even the Undisputed Universal one. He has been putting in great work. He was an amazing United States champion. I think a lot of us forget how good he was as United States champion. Maybe being Intercontinental champion isn't something that he wants, because he's already proven to be a really good mid-carder champion with the United States one. So maybe he is having his eyes more set on that World Heavyweight Championship. But then it also begs the question of, then what happens with Finn? Because as we know, you know, when this whole Money in the Bank thing seemingly was getting closer and closer as an opportunity to cash in, Finn was like, well, if I win, are you going to cash in on me the moment I win this belt tonight? And Damian was like, no, but Damian was out there. He was thinking about it. He was, you know, worried if maybe Finn lost, maybe at least Damian could have it. So that way someone of the Judgment Day had it, but that could have started a little bit of a tension as well. And I know they've had their back and forth. So is this feud that they kind of put on the back burner re-sizzle the moment Damian kind of cashes in on possibly Seth instead of someone like a Roman Reigns? Owen, we'll start with you for this one.
I am very curious where they go with the direction. Like if Priest was to cash in and win a title, whatever one that is, obviously I think that will start the implosion with the Judgment Day, and I think we will start to see them start to fall apart if he wins the title, just because of his like that small little like his small history with like Finn Balor. They were not on the same side for a while. I think that'll spark right back up if Priest has a title, and say they drop the tag team titles and Priest has a title on him. I don't think Finn will like that, and I think we'll finally see the Judgment Day like start to fall apart. Like we saw a little bit of the implosion start to happen, but it obviously didn't. So I think that's where it'll finally crumble.
Okay. Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with what Owen was saying. I think Damian's going to see the Judgment Day almost holding him back from winning a championship. So obviously seeing Finn Balor costing Damian the championship, throwing in the briefcase, causing him to get stomped by Seth Rollins. I think it happened on 2 occasions actually. So I think him becoming a singles star, going in by himself, will help that his odds winning the championship, maybe setting up a feud between Finn and Damian, maybe down at SummerSlam or even Extreme Rules or a Survivor Series, something like that. But I agree with Owen. I think the implosion is happening sooner than later, and I think we should keep an eye out for that.
I'm gonna stick with this topic for a little bit because you both mentioned something about an implosion, an explosion in the Judgment Day itself, kind of deteriorating this strong faction that has truly taken over Monday Night Raw, and that being a lot of the internal beef that they've had with each other. Now, my question to the both of you, and Anthony, we'll start with you for this one. Do you think that it's time to start having a few of them disband and maybe go back into the singles competition? Someone like a Damian Priest or a Finn Balor, do you feel like one of them has kind of been a little bit more lackluster due to the fact that they're all in this faction together and not back in that singles competition? And as well as Dominic Mysterio, a lot of us are trying to see what's next for Dirty Dom. Is it going to be a singles run? Is he going to have another opportunity like he had in the NXT division as possible NXT champion? Maybe he gets that North American championship back, or hell, possibly gets the United States or Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah. I believe that a bunch of them are kind of missing out on some potential they have being in that faction. Like you said earlier, Finn Balor, obviously him being in the latter half of his career, he's 42 years old. He's had already a great career, but kind of being behind Damian Priest in that faction, maybe he doesn't get as much time to shine as he could if he was a single star. Also going with JD McDonough, him being relatively new to the scene, he's still really young. He still has a lot of time to shine. Him going off to his singles could help him too. Same thing with Dominic. Maybe he becomes face again, goes back with Ray. Maybe they have a feud with the Judgment Day. But I think them kind of dispersing, becoming single stars could not only help them, but be some really good storylines for the Judgment Day too. With them breaking up, I think that would go really good.
I like that. Owen, what do you got to say?
I've always liked when Finn Balor wasn't a part of Judgment Day. I don't know if that's just me. I loved Finn as a solo. Obviously Priest, if he wins the title, I would like to see him go solo as well. I think he has a lot of potential if he has a title around his waist. Obviously, you have Dominic Mysterio. I don't know if I would want to see him as a complete solo. I think he'll stay. I'd like him to stay with Rhea for as long as possible. With JD McDonough, I don't really know because I don't see too much. I know he's young. I just don't see a lot of potential in JD McDonough. So if I were to pick people out of the Judgment Day to go solo and have a solo run, I think I'd go with Damian Priest and Finn Balor.
Now, you said something that was very interesting. You want Dominic to stay with Rhea Ripley. Is it because you feel the same way you feel with JD? Like there's not much for Dominic in that potential of being a true single star? Or do you think that he just has never really met that caliber of a performer in any of his time in the WWE? Like, why do you think that maybe Dominic needs to stay with someone like Rhea, then branching off and starting a singles push for another mid-card title, but now on the WWE roster, then an NXT roster?
I think he needs Rhea. Obviously, we saw he won the North American title because of Rhea, and I think he just needs someone in his corner. I feel like he's one of those guys that needs like some type of interference to win a title. I think he does perform well in the ring. Example is last night. Obviously, he lost, but it was a very good match. I just feel like to get to that like main event title or like any of the titles, I feel like he would need someone in his corner, like we've seen Rhea before, to like help him win a title.
Yeah. Well, like he was saying with that, Dominic, he has the heat. He has the heat from the crowd, but he doesn't have the go away heat. You know, the crowd loves him. The crowd like really they enjoy him as a performer. You can tell they do. But with what Owen said, I agree with somewhat what he said with how he needs help with like interference, Judgment Day. Rhea always helping him, Damien helping him, Finn, all of them helping him out. But I think him in a singles area, him being alone could be beneficial to his career. Putting him in that deep water he's not used to yet. Him having to learn the ways of being a single star with a crowd, with learning, not having that help. I think putting him in that would benefit his career like tremendously.
Yeah, I kind of agree more with Anthony on this one. I'm sorry, Owen, but I do see Dominic as a single superstar. I one day see him as a world heavyweight or universal champion. I do. I think that if we look at Dominic's career from when it began, and of course working with Ray, he has definitely evolved his in-ring capability. I think Dom's in-ring capability has progressed. Yes, he still at times needed people in his corner. I will say that. But last night's showing, as well as just some of his tag matches alone, he has had very good performances that many of us maybe are not realizing is the starting point for him to be pushed into that singles run. Last night, of course, it was a qualifying chamber spot against Kevin Owens. And yes, he lost, but he should have won. I mean, I don't think Kevin needed the spot. I don't think Kevin needed to be in that chamber again, facing someone like a Drew or Randy, who's already faced prior, Bobby, any of them, Logan Paul, even an LA Knight, again, like he already has. I feel like having Dom in something like an elimination chamber spot only would have made potential interesting feuds, one being with Logan Paul. Logan Paul plays dirty. He cheats to win. He always has his boys in his corner. Rhea and Dominic are those people, but on the Judgment Day side of things, Dirty Dom, he plays dirty. Having him have a feud with someone like a Logan Paul with that on the line and the United States Championship on the line, I think makes for good TV, because now you're going to see how dirty these two dirty players are going to play as and really show how good of their performances are going to be. Both of them are high flyers. They're risk takers. They're willing to put their bodies on the line. Dominic is studied and has wrestled in that luchador style background, even with his father in Lucha Underground back in the 2010s. That going to the table against someone like a Logan Paul only puts Dominic in that forefront conversation of possible mid-card championship contention. Working with Randy side by side, working with Drew, working with the likes of LA Knight, working along with Bobby Lashley, I think also sets up interesting feuds for him down the road if they want to push him even to the top tier spot. I don't think right now he is top tier material. No, but I think he's on his way to mid-card material for sure in the WWE. I think he's kind of branched out of that NXT hoodie and is now finally putting on a good WWE hoodie of mid-card challengers and challenge. And I hope we see more of it, because now I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with Dirty Dom. Most likely he'll just be on the corner of Rhea come Elimination Chamber for her match against Nia Jax. And it just sucks, but we'll have to see, and hopefully we see Damian cash in this opportunity sometime soon. I mean, Money in the Bank is not that far away. WrestleMania is 40 something days away now. And we haven't really seen much of it and what could actually be the tipping point of the Judgment Day's actual friend group, possibly spilling over into, of course, 2024. But as we get closer to the end of the show, we are going to talk about another thing, which is when are we going to be putting full-timers back as champions than these part-timers? People like a Logan Paul, people like a Roman Reigns. You know, we haven't really seen Roman wrestle a lot due to the fact that he is a part-timer in some sense, whether he's making movies or he's, you know, unfortunately struggling with his leukemia and whatnot. It is taking away from him being a fighting champion, a champion that's always on TV, someone like a Seth Rollins, someone like a Cody Rhodes or Gunther, even Logan Paul, who has a lot of other businesses, Prime Bottle, of course, being another one, as well as his podcast. You know, him having that title, but not always being on TV. You know, when do we think is going to be that turning point to where we're going to only be seeing full-timers that are actually there every single week, wrestling day in and day out, being champions, then these business decision part-timers, I'll call them, just to kind of enhance the product and, of course, get new eyes on the actual product itself. Owen, we'll start with you for this one. Do you think that's coming maybe in the near future, or do you think these full-time part-timers are always going to kind of be the same way no matter what?
I mean, I would really hope that we go back to the full-time champions. Whether that's like far down the line after Mania, pushing it to like SummerSlam. I miss the full-time champions. I see why they do it, just so they can like have that thing at the bottom of the screen that says like they've been champion for like 500 days, 1300. I do miss having that feel of having a title on the line during like a main event of Raw, like every single week. I feel like we just don't have any of that anymore. I do hope we turn back to full-time champions, just so we can have more like matches that are like hyped up. It'll give like mid-carders more opportunity if the champions are on the shows consistently. And yeah, I do miss those old days of obviously seeing stars defend their titles consistently and not just like every pay-per-view. Like I do miss the matches we would have on like SmackDown and Raw, where we would have the titles being defended.
Understandable. I do too. I miss it, and I hope they change it to full-timers again. Anthony, what do you got to say to that?
Yeah, I agree with Owen there, and I think we're gonna get the full-time champions sooner than later, actually, with this new Triple H era and the TKO era. I think when Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns, becomes a champion, him being a workhorse like Seth Rollins, like a maybe possibly when Gunther loses championship as well. I think we're going to see champions facing every single week, not just 3 times a year. I think we're going to see Cody Rhodes facing week in and week out, having close matches, and he's gonna go through the entire gauntlet, mid cards, lower cards, main event cards, with the not only that championship. I think they're going to do that with the U.S. championship too. When Logan Paul drops his belt, hopefully at Mania, I think he's going to be like, that title is going to go on to be up in the main event scene as well if Braun Breaker wins it, which is kind of the thing going around. Not that one, the Intercontinental Championship, but if LA Knight beats Logan Paul, which is kind of the rumor, he's like a workhorse. He's so over with the crowd. He works. He has a huge work ethic. He is really good in the ring. So I think giving all these belts to these workhorses is going to really elevate the championships, make them feel more worthy, make them feel more prestigious. So hopefully hopefully that time is coming soon in the next couple of months.
Absolutely. I actually have a question for the both of you. We'll start with you, Anthony. You brought up LA Knight. Um, we all have wanted LA Knight to have some type of gold since last year, Money in the Bank opportunity, that was given to Damian Priest instead. Do you believe, and the same question goes for you too, Owen, but do you believe that maybe with LA Knight possibly becoming new United States champion, that could actually hurt the momentum that he has been on since we haven't really seen him as a champion? He's had all this great momentum, this amazing push, everyone in his corner. I mean, different wrestling companies around the world are chanting out, "Yeah, let me talk to you." They're doing the LA Knight slogans, they're doing the LA Knight gimmicks. Do you think that there's a possibility of a title reign hurting someone like an LA Knight with all the momentum that he already has? Or could he still be on the top of his game like he was in Impact as champion, as well as now in the WWE limelight?
Well, yeah, of course. I think it's a possibility that the hype dies down a little bit. Fans seeing him up all the way up top, going for the Roman Reigns Undisputed Championship, kind of going down the ladder a little bit to a mid card championship. People might think that the momentum's going to die, but I think LA Knight could bring that championship up to the main event level with how over he is, with how much the fans love him. I think he can turn the United States Championship from kind of a prop, if you will, kind of like down low, to a championship that people are actually going to contend for. Like we've seen that with Gunther. Gunther bringing the IC championship all the way up to a main event level. So I think the same thing could happen with the United States Championship as well.
Owen?
Obviously, I feel like this is a question we obviously always have when we see like a new champion. Like, where's their path going to go from here? With how over LA Knight is, I think if they have the right storyline around him, I think he'll do good. But if they don't, then I don't know if he'll lose the momentum, but I just feel like it'll kind of get stale with him as champion. But I feel like he needs a good storyline a storyline with him. The one with him and Roman, I think, was very good in that build-up. But if he does go on to win the United States Championship, I think he has the crowd behind him as long as they have the right path for him to go on. I feel like, yes, he will keep that momentum, but yeah.
I like that. No, I agree with the both of you. I think, there's always that worry. I feel like that's always the biggest thing for big champion or possible champion contenders down the road that have a lot of momentum behind them. They have the crowd, people have the signs, they have the t-shirts. There's people dressed up as him when they go to the shows. So there's so much love for this guy that being pushed to the top of the mountain with a Roman Reigns, then only falling short, now possibly going for that mid-card belt, does kind of hurt him in some aspects. But like Anthony was saying, I think maybe he, with all of that love and care that they have given him and shown him, and the WWE community has shown him, maybe making this mid-card belt, the United States belt, is the perfect spot for him because he could enhance it. He could make it as relevant, as prestigious as it once was. I mean, many great legends have held that United States Championship belt that we could name. And as of lately, these past few years, it has felt a little bit tarnished. It's felt not so welcoming. It's not a belt everybody's really shooting for and getting excited to watch the United States Championship match as it once was. There's been a lot of hot potatoing of the belt around that mid-card division, and the mid-card division has been full of a lot of either unfortunately injured superstars or superstars that didn't deliver on really good title reigns, and shorter reigns have come because of it. So as we sit here and we talk about LA Knight, maybe LA Knight is that little key to that successful regaining momentum of the United States division. Jey Uso, I think, could also hype up that international intercontinental belt that Gunther has. I mean, Gunther has been killing it as Intercontinental Champion. He's been putting on masterclass matches. I mean, we all remember 39, that triple threat match. We remember him and Chad Gable, him and Bronson, and so many more. That his reign has been so amazing and so great. Him getting pushed to the World Heavyweight Championship seems to be the most logical choice, because he too can just elevate that World Heavyweight Championship like it once was. I mean, Seth's doing a great job now as is, but it is time for him to step back, kind of get healed up, so that way he could spend more time with his family, rest, come back, and become another dominant performer like we all know that he can be. So hopefully we see something of a trigger pull for, of course, LA Knight to the top seed eventually, or at least to that mid-card title scene, and becoming a really, really great United States champion. But until then, we'll kind of just have to wait. Hopefully this Elimination Chamber doesn't hurt LA Knight's potential. Maybe this is what they're setting up for, with, of course, him and Logan Paul down the road. Or we also have seen Drew and LA Knight kind of been going at it in the backstage area too. So maybe there's contention and a possible feud in our future for that as well. So definitely put a lot of eyes on the product itself. But that is going to do it for us here. I appreciate everybody coming on and hanging out with us, but it is time to get to the end of the show. So Anthony, Owen, I'm going to let you guys have the floor. Tell the good people who you guys are, what you guys are doing. We'll go one-on-one with the two of you, and tell everybody what's going on and what's coming up for you guys in the near future.
We're obviously Over the Top Talk podcast. We're on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, just to name a few. We obviously have our episode 2. I think it's scheduled to come out at some point tonight. In the future, we would like to have more interviews like we're having now. We would like to collab with obviously other content creators, just to like bounce ideas off of each other. But yeah, this was very fun to do. Very fun to have you as our like first technical collab. So we thank you for having us on here.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. This was absolutely a pleasure. Anthony, what do you got to say to the good people?
Yeah, I gotta say, like Owen said, we episode 1 and 2 out now on YouTube. We're gonna be doing PLE reviews at the end of them. We're gonna be going over them, Raw, NXT, and SmackDown reviews in the near future. Hopefully, we get to do some more collaborations with more content creators. Maybe get some interviews down the line. And yeah, he touched base on almost everything, but we really appreciate it, and thank you so much for allowing us to be on your show. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, no, absolutely, guys. I appreciate it that you guys are coming on. I'm very excited to see what the future holds for you all. I'm just going to have you guys stay back to when the show's completely over so we could talk for a little bit, and then I'll let you guys go. But no, this was really fun. I'm very excited. Please, everybody here right now, whether you're watching right now, whether you're watching later on, go check out Over the Top Talk. They are really great guys. They have a lot of great things to talk about on their show, cover a lot of topics in the WWE community and stuff. So definitely make sure you check them out. They're brand new, so there's not much to catch up on because there's so much more that they're going to be creating, and I cannot wait to see their absolute rise to stardom and, of course, killing that Boston team over there. I'm very happy for you guys. I'm very excited for you guys as well. Maybe we'll get you on for maybe a watch-along, pay-per-view watch-along and stuff. I don't know if that's something you are interested in. We could definitely talk about that. I know WrestleMania is coming up, so maybe we'll try to fit you in on a predictions pod as well. Get you on there for some fun predictions and whatnot. But absolutely, doors always open for you guys. I love working with new people that have been doing this for a very long time. We're brand new to the game. It's always fun for me and stuff. So I'm absolutely honored. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you guys and know you guys. And I'll be listening to the new episode like I did for the first. So I'm a fan. You got my follow, that is for sure, on Spotify. And yeah, that's really it. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we dip on out of here?
No,
I
we're
think
just
that's it.
just really thankful for this opportunity, man.
Cool. I love it. All right, guys, we are going to head out of here. But of course, tomorrow we're going to be on No Bones About Wrestling doing a retro watch along over on their channel. So make sure 12:45 Eastern, you are over on No Bones About Wrestling. They are Asa and K Fabulous. We're going to be doing, I think, WCW something with Sting, since it is Sting's last couple of matches going into Revolution, which is his very last wrestling match, which I'll be there for, watching Sting wrestle for the very last time. I'm very excited. And then, of course, Monday Night Raw watch along. We are back with it again, doing it up and doing it right with Monday Night Raw come this Monday. And of course, AEW Dynamite and Collision is back next Saturday. That's right. It is finally back. But we are going to probably only cover WWE's pay-per-view for the Elimination Chamber. We will be up at 4:40 in the morning and watching this goddamn pay-per-view. I tell you now, it better be worth every single minute, because if not, I'm going to be very upset that I was up so damn early for this pay-per-view. But definitely check out us, of course, Monday to give us all the details on what's coming up for the rest of the week, predictions, pods, and all. And of course, this coming Friday is also No Surrender from TNA. We are going to be doing a watch along for that as well. That Friday, the Friday before Elimination Chamber. So double pay-per-view weekend is in the near future, and it just never stops. You guys know it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see everybody next time on the show. See you then.
Start to feel like I'm dreaming, man. Should've seen that look on my face. But I'm so low key, I'm on